At no time since the fall of the Soviet Union has a threat from Russia been as serious and Washington's relations with Moscow been as poor as in the fall of 2016. As charges fly that Russia is trying to influence the outcome of the 2016 presidential election by leaking Democratic emails, and Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump accuse each other of having inappropriate ties to the Russian government, questions about where Vladimir Putin is taking his country and what that will mean for ours have largely gone unasked, let alone unanswered. Putin's reset, the bear is back and how America must respond, is an effort to address just such questions, drawing upon the expertise of 8 leading national security experts. Thanks in part to the malfeasance of the Obama administration, which was evident in its initial doomed effort to reset relations with the Kremlin, Russia has become a major player in the Middle East over the past 8 years and is expanding its influence at the expense of the United States. Moscow is forging new alliances around the world to promote its influence and to undermine the United States, especially with China and Iran. Russia's growing influence and the perception that it is a more reliable power than the United States has even led Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to strengthen Israel's ties to Russia. At the same time, there have been major improvements in Russia's ballistic missiles, air defenses, and strategic and tactical nuclear forces. Russia is improving its navy and is striking deals for port access for its fleet around the world. Russia has deployed one of its most advanced missile systems in Syria to help protect and secure victory for its partner, Syria's genocidal Assad regime. It also has sold advanced ground-to-air missiles to Iran, which Iran is using to prevent possible Israeli and U.S. airstrikes against a facility that likely is continuing the mullah's clandestine nuclear bomb-making program. The days of Russia's almost comical invasion of Georgia in 2008, when Russian troops crossed the border sitting on top of dilapidated armored personnel carriers, are over. Today, the Red Army was on display. Russian jets have been harassing American naval vessels and planes. Russian jets and bombers have infringed on the airspace of the United States, Canada, Turkey, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Finland, and Sweden, among others. These incidents are raising fears by some former Soviet states that the Russian military could soon meddle in their countries, as it has in Ukraine. In addition, the UK recently announced that it will send 800 soldiers along with tanks, armored vehicles, and drones to Estonia to reassure the Baltic states due to increasing Russian aggression. This came after a recent Russian military exercise where Russia deployed nuclear-capable missiles to Kaliningrad on the Baltic Sea. It is hard to overstate the cumulative impact and pretentiousness of these actions. In his contribution to this collection of essays, noted Russian expert Dr. Stephen Blank depicts the situation with this grim warning. Putin's Russia is preparing for war against the U.S. and NATO. Putin would prefer to win without fighting, but he is prepared to use force and apparently escalate to nuclear weapons use if necessary and in Russia's interests. He must be deterred. We are not doing nearly enough to do so. The other national security experts who contributed to this book, Mark Schneider, Daniel Garay, Kevin Freeman, David Satter, Michael Waller, Roger Robinson, Cliff Kincaid, and I reached a similar conclusion. The threat from Russia is growing as it gears up at best for a do-over of the Cold War, and at worst, it is creating what the Soviets used to call a correlation of forces that will enable the Kremlin to engage decisively in actual hostilities against the United States. Our hope is that the American people, once equipped with the insights in this book, will have a more complete understanding of how the Kremlin of yesteryear, with its global ambitions, bullying behavior, and rabid hostility towards the United States, which was immortalized by candidate Ronald Reagan in a 1980 presidential campaign ad as a bear in the woods, is back. And with that urgently needed understanding, the public will be better equipped to decide on what course is the most appropriate U.S. response: continued accommodation and appeasement, or a return to the policy approach that Mr. Reagan used as president towards the Soviet Union. Peace through strength. Putin's reset is a call to action, born of a shared conviction by its contributors that the Russian threat is very real. We have no more time for denial and political games by elected officials. America has lost a lot of ground in terms of power and prestige to Putin and other adversaries. Unless we are determined to engage in action to regain this ground starting now, America's vital interests and quite possibly the security of the American people could be at grave risk.